Hey, vinyl community. So Pat over at Ground Zero Salem is doing a contest, and I'm going to jump on board this. Let's get to it. Okay, hey VC, this is Jeff again. So yeah, this is going to be kind of odd because earlier today I filmed about, I don't know, 2 or 3 videos on some of the new releases I got. I'll be spacing those out. Had not planned on making another video. But then tonight, as I'm watching other people's videos, I run across the fact that there's a contest over at Ground Zero Salem. And I started thinking about it, and I thought, yeah, that might be interesting to jump on board. And then I thought, well, let's go ahead and do it, because it turns out the contest has been going on for a little while, and it ends on the 30th, so we've only got a couple days. Basically, this is called Evolving Opinions Contest. So it's looking at, and it can go either way, albums you loved when you were younger that you really don't appreciate now, or albums that you didn't appreciate when you were younger that you now appreciate much more, that you love more. I think a lot of that can go through, we can go through phases like that. There, especially as our musical tastes evolve, and that's kind of the idea here. Is just, what have you changed your opinions on? And so he just basically wanted to see one album or as many as you want, but all entries get one in the drawing for the prize. So I basically pulled out, I went ahead, I just grabbed some that came off the top of my head. First, I had to limit myself to just my vinyl collection, because I didn't want to start looking at my thousands of CDs, because I could probably come up with more examples. So I said, let's just find some vinyl ideas that will give this this contest a go. So that's what we're going to do. First up, I went back to one of my earliest albums that I remember being the case. Bought this album when it came out, had no idea who they were. Bought it from a Camelot Music. Interesting that in the video contest video, which will be linked below, he mentioned Camelot Music. And so yeah, I did a lot of Camelot Music when I was growing up. So always bought stuff in their independent section where they had the indies or the imports or whatever. That's where I picked up everything from, like the first Rat EP when they were just a California band that nobody on the East Coast knew about. The first Motley Crue, things like that. Exciter, Metallica, the first Metallica. All these are bands that nobody had ever heard of. They're in the indie section because they're just up and coming bands with an album out. This, actually, the album is like, the third, or I don't know, numerous. Anyway, let's get into it. Raven, All for One. I bought this album, had no clue who they were. It looked metal. We bought metal. We bought everything that looked like that. It looked cool. For the longest time, I had it as a kid and listened to it very rarely. I didn't like the guy's vocals. I thought it was quirky and weird. It wasn't melodic. It wasn't really, it was just quirky. Kind of had that, because of the vocals, kind of had that punkish feel. Didn't appreciate it. Never really liked it. Never bought another Raven album beyond this. This was it. I had this album. No, I take that back. I had the Live at the Inferno, which came out shortly after this. I think those were the only 2 Raven albums I had for all of my music career, up until maybe the last 10 years. I think it was, I guess it was, and a lot of it recently has been because of the influence of the VC. And of course, as you grow to appreciate different styles of music, I tracked down this album, and because I remembered, I had moments about it that I remembered that I really wanted to revisit, and so I got it, and then I realized, wow, I don't mind the guy's vocals at all. I really dig this. Started buying more. I even liked the commercial stuff they did. Started buying more. Anyway, turns out now I really dig Raven, and now I have to buy an entire catalog of discography of stuff that they did. But yeah, this album is kind of what started it all. Didn't really appreciate it back in the day. Really dig it now, and a lot of their other stuff. Let's also go way back. We're talking 1984. I bought the Thor Unchained album. Big Marvel fan. Thought the imagery was cool. Bought it. It was okay. Filed it away as just another one of those little indie bands that was just kind of a gimmicky cheesiness. That was pretty much it. I think I did have maybe I had only the Strong. I think I did also, which was the album, the full album that came after this. That was probably it. Then didn't buy anything else. I think I got rid of all those albums and everything. And it was somewhere in the 90s when I ran across on eBay a CD. I couldn't tell if it was a compilation. It had some songs I knew, whatever. And I thought, he must still be around. And so I bought that. And then I started buying more CDs. And I started buying more CDs. And one by one, I became an avid collector of anything I could get my hands on. And as you know, if people who watch me long enough know, I have a big, I collect everything I can get my hands on for Thor, his music, his albums, everything. So now I'm a huge fan. This album is just up there. Love it, love it, love it. Love him, and yeah, it's kind of campy at times. It can be kind of cheesy, just because of, low budget, whatever. But I just love it. I just love it all. And so, yeah, this is where it started for me, was when I picked this up at a independent section of a record store. So love it now. Love it, love it. This one I'm going to bring in. People go back and forth on this all the time, and I have to admit I've gone back and forth on this. And that's the self-titled Motley Crue with John Corabi. When this came out, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. It wasn't a Motley Crue album. It didn't sound like Motley Crue. Didn't like it. And from there, I just turned it off. I just turned off my mind to listen to this album. It just, it wasn't Motley Crue. And I'm not going to like it, and I'm not going to listen to it, and I'm not going to try to like it. I totally ignored it. When Generation Swine came out, I jumped right on it because that's Motley Crue. I didn't care that it sounded weird. I still like it. I still think it's a decent album. It's Vince Neil. That to me was Motley Crue. I never gave this a time of day. I don't think I ever bought it. I think I listened to it at various times online. Never bought the actual product. And then, of course, over the years, you start hearing more and more people talk about how it's their favorite and it's great. And I'm like, I better go back and revisit it. And so I did. I admit, I have to approach this with a whole different mindset. And I do this now in my maturity with a lot of albums. First off, expectations. Am I expecting another Shut Up the Devil or Dr. Feelgood or Girls, Girls, Girls? Or am I looking at a band in transition? Am I looking at a band in the 90s, getting their head above water when grunge was taking over and melodic metal was out? Am I looking at a band that's surviving with the new singer? Am I looking at where the band is today when this is out versus where I wish they would be? I see that now, and I see that a lot of bands went through those changes, and I appreciate this now. So now when I listen to this, yeah, to me, it's still kind of the oddity in the Motley Crue catalog, but it's a solid, great album. It's just, to me, not a solid Motley Crue album. So I greatly appreciate this for what it is, and I just look at it a little differently and have to kind of, disassociate it with the rest of what I'm used to. So great stuff as a standalone album. Now it's funny, I pulled all of my records before watching anybody else's videos aside from the actual contest video. Then I went back because one of the first ones I saw was Matt over at the Accusation Network. So I started watching his, and I stopped after like 3 or 4 albums of his just because I wanted to go ahead and make mine before it got much later. But he showed this album, and I'd already pulled it, and I thought, that's cool. Black Sabbath, Born Again. Now, this album came out. I bought it the night it came out. We ran to the store, my friend and I, went to the store because, hey, new Black Sabbath album. We ran to the store and bought it. Yes, it looked creepy, as a teenager. We bought it. We gave it a spin. Sounded muddy. Sounded weird. Now I admit didn't know a whole lot about Deep Purple at that time. Wasn't a big Deep Purple Ian Gillan fan. But we knew who he was and we knew who they were, and we figured this was going to be like an all-star cast. This is going to be a great album. It didn't do much for us at all. For the longest time, it was kind of always just kind of disregarded as noisy, bad production, weird album. But there was always, a little bit of a fondness I had to it. And so many years later, when they started reissuing the Black Sabbath on those deluxe CD discs, I ran out and grabbed this to revisit it, hoping that they would have additional songs from it, thinking maybe it's better than I thought. And I listened to it and fell in love with it all over again. I'm like, this is really a decent album. And yeah, the production's a little different, little, raw, a little underproduced, but it really appealed to me a lot more. So when I started buying vinyl records again, it wasn't too long before I tracked down a copy of this because I knew that I wanted to get a copy because it's to me, it's kind of become a classic. Is it my favorite? No, but I have it a lot more, hold it a lot higher esteem now than I did for probably the first 20 plus years of its existence. So, and I have since then become a huge Deep Purple fan, huge Ian Gillan fan. So I even appreciate it more now that I have the backstory of who he was. Because, back in the day as a teenager, Smoke on the Water, whatever the hits were, we knew, but I didn't have any albums by them because I went from disco in the 70s right into metal. Never went back into the classic rock era, so never spent any time with the bands that laid the foundation like The Who and the Rolling Stones and Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin and all that. Went right into Kiss and American metal and went away. So to me, this was kind of too odd, and after a while grew to really love it. I'm going to stop there. He only really wanted one. Let me give you 4. So, anyway, check it out. If you want to jump on this, it's... you got like a day after I'm going to post this, and you'll have like a day. So jump on it. Check out his channel. Check out the link below. See what all's going on. And I will be back. Rock on and rock hard.